Mali, audio's not working actually.
Huh?
Audio's not working.
No, I have not started speaking.
Okay.
I'll put this on mute and I'll just start speaking there.
Yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Okay, so today let's begin with chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to turn on the video also. You all can turn on your video as well if you like. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 1 Bhagavad Gita. Here, the chapter 1 Bhagavad Gita is actually called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. That means the main theme here is about lamentation of Arjuna, how he laments about not wanting to fight the battle of Kurukshetra, and so he gives many reasons, and we will look at how he tries to justify why he should not fight, and so and on the battle of Kurukshetra, now Kaurava and Pandava army, they're already stationed, and the war is about to begin. And in such a situation, Arjuna asks Krishna to take the chariot in the very middle, in between two armies, and because he says, I want to see who are all there, who are all gathered to fight now. So, and then how he reacts and what happens is what we're going to look into here. So, first of all, Bhagavad Gita begins with the first shloka, and that is recited by Dhritarashtra. It says, Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakah pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjaya. So obviously here Dhritarashtra is talking to Sanjaya. Sanjaya is his charioteer. And not just that, he's almost like a friend. He confides in Sanjaya, and Sanjaya is very wise. And now Sanjaya has got a very special benediction boon from Vedavyasa, and he has got a divya chakshu, or a spiritual vision, to actually see what is going on in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, even though he's sitting uh, inside the palace with Dhritarashtra, but now he's able to actually see what is going on in the battlefield as well. So, therefore, Dhritarashtra is asking, can you please tell me now what is going on? And the very first word in Srimad Bhagavad Gita is dharma. This is starting with dharma, and it's very significant. And it ends with also almost towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, one of the last few shlokas, Krishna again brings up the word dharma. Sarva dharman parityajya. Mamekam sharanam raja. So that means, uh, the entire Bhagavad Gita is well within the context of dharma. It begins with dharma, ends with dharma. So it is all about dharma. Um, so then, Dhritarashtra knows very well that now Kauravas and Pandavas, they have gathered there to fight. And why is he asking such a question? Uh, so they are both desiring to fight. So what did they do? Well, what else will they do? Either they are getting ready to fight, or they've started to fight. So this indicates a very much um, duplicitous nature of Dhritarashtra. He's actually thinking something else inside. And this our Acharya's note that he's scared. Dhritarashtra is somewhere scared that, oh, what if the sons of Pandu, um, that is the Pandavas and his own sons, Kauravas, what if they come to a compromise, come to an understanding mutually that, okay, let's compromise and let's divide our share of kingdom and let there be no war, uh, which would have been good for others, but not for Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra was overly attached to his sons, and he wanted his son his son Duryodhana to be the king, unrivaled king, so to speak. So therefore, so many things are revealed in the very first shloka here. So first of all, Dharma Kshetra. So he's calling Kurukshetra as Dharma Kshetra because it was not an ordinary field, because previously for many thousands of years and yugas, Acharya has explained that that was the place where so many yagnas had been performed, and therefore it was imbued with so much of dharmic influence and piety or punya, right? So only who is on the side of dharma, they will have a very positive influence from this um, Kurukshetra battlefield, because it's a dharma kshetra. That's why he is using the word dharma kshetra. Now, Samaveta Yuyutsavaha, they've all assembled desiring to fight. Yuyutsava means desiring to fight. And now he's also saying, see, they all belong to the same dynasty called Kuru dynasty. But so ideally they're all Kauravas because they belong to the Kuru dynasty. They're Kaurava. That is how in Sanskrita um, the son of Pandu is called Pandava. Son of Kuru dynasty is called Kaurava. Therefore, son of Vasudeva is called Vasudeva. That's another name of Krishna. But but he's making a distinction here. So now they are all Mamakaha, means they are my sons, my people, my folks, as in all the Kauravas. But Pandavas, he's mentioning, addressing them as sons of Pandu. So there is an obvious distinction he's making, and therefore that shows that he is not willing to accept all of them as part of their own family. So such was the mentality of Dhritarashtra. And then he's asking, what did they do? Because now he was scared. He was hoping that there should be no compromise, and he was hoping because he wanted his sons to come out victorious. So even he knew that his sons were not righteous. They were not on the side of dharma. He knew very well. But still, because of his overly being attached to his sons, especially Duryodhana, he wanted them to be victorious at any cost. Okay, so now In the first 13 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, first 13 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita is all about preparations for the war. So war has not yet begun, and how they're all preparing themselves is what is seen there. And let's quickly go through it. Now, moving on to the second shloka. Now, Sanjaya replies to the question of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya uvacha drishtva tu pandava nikam yudham duryodhanastada acharya upasangamya raja vachanam abravit. So, now Sanjaya is replying. So, what is happening there is this. After looking at the arrangement of the army or the arrangement of the soldiers, the way they were all positioned, um, on the Pandava side, Duryodhana, he and the entire of his army, especially Duryodhana, was quite shocked. He was amazed. He didn't expect this from Pandavas because he thought uh, we have we have a lot of resources. They have much bigger army. They have so much more. Uh, they were much more stronger when it comes to political military strength. So, and he didn't expect that they would have so expertly arranged their soldiers. They would have positioned them so expert, and therefore he was quite taken aback. So what he does is, he immediately, first thing he does is he goes to Dronacharya. Dronacharya is his teacher, not just for him and his brothers, but Dronacharya also taught the Pandavas. So what Duryodhana does now is, first he'll go talk to Dronacharya, and he says, just look at the army of the Pandavas, how expertly it's been arranged. By who? None other than your intelligent disciple. In the third shloka, he says, Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. So expertly arranged by none other than your own disciple. So, what he is trying to convey here is, this expert disciple of Dronacharya was the son of Drupada, known as Drishtadyumna. And he was the commander in chief who had so expertly arranged. And now, why is Duryodhana pointing it out? So, Duryodhana is very tactical and cunning, and he wants to also try to provoke the anger of Dronacharya. If someone is very happy and peaceful, how can they fight with anyone? So someone, if they have to fight, they need to be angry. So he's trying to bring out that anger because he always thought that, oh, Dronacharya has always been partial towards Pandavas. So, if that attitude continues, then we will be in trouble. So therefore, he wants to provoke that anger in Dronacharya so he can, put in more of his vigor to defeat the other side. So therefore, now he's pointing out. See, Dronacharya was the teacher for all these people, namely Pandavas, Kauravas, now even Drupada's son, known as Drishtadyumna, who was responsible for expertly arranging the army on Pandava's side. And now, so he's saying, so there is a little background story for this. Previously, Dronacharya was very good friends with King Drupada. King Drupada, for those of you who don't know, is the father of Draupadi. So when they were studying in their Gurukula, King Drupada and Dronacharya, they were very good friends, and so then they were still young, they were children. So he had Drupada had promised Dronacharya, because he was his very good friend, that he is going to give him half his kingdom. So later on, when they grew up, now Dronacharya, when because he was poor Brahmana, he was in fact very poor. So he remembered the words of his friend in his childhood, and then he went uh, to ask for that his share of kingdom. But then Drupada, now being a king, and he humiliates him, saying, because something that he may have said uh, in his childhood, and but how can you just come and claim a share in the kingdom? And that's ridiculous, is what his was his reaction. But Dronacharya felt that it was very humiliating, because one, he is not sticking to his word. At the same time, he's being insulted. So then, because of that, now Dronacharya wants to take revenge on Drupada. So therefore, uh, therefore now Drupada, Dronacharya, he sends his disciples, namely Arjuna and the Pandavas, to defeat Drupada. And Drupada is very much defeated. And now again, so they both keep seeking revenge like that. So finally, because Drupada gets defeated, and then he could have usurped the whole kingdom, but then he will let him go. He would let Drupada just go. But then Drupada also feels very humiliated, because now he has been defeated by Drona through his disciples. So now Drupada wants to take revenge, and then he will perform a yagna just to get a son who could kill Dronacharya. And he also got a daughter, and she was also instrumental in destroying the uh, Kauravas. And and he wanted that daughter specifically to be married to Arjuna, because he really liked Arjuna so much, even though he was defeated by Arjuna, but he really liked him so much that he wanted Arjuna to become his son-in-law, but he didn't have a daughter who could be given in marriage to Arjuna at that time. So he performed a yagna just for that, so that he could get a daughter who can marry Arjuna, and he can get a son who could defeat Dronacharya. So this was very interesting. So this is all coming from Sriman Mahabharata. Mahabharata is so amazing. Everything is given to us very kindly by Vedavyas. So there are so many uh, stories which are connected to the main storyline of Mahabharata. And therefore, so what happens now is, um, therefore now Duryodhana is pointing out, look, it is that same Drishtadyumna who was born just so you could be killed by him. Now he is waiting to kill you, O Dronacharya. And not just that, Dronacharya happens to be the guru of the same Drishtadyumna. Even though Dronacharya knew that Drishtadyumna was born to kill him, but still Dronacharya was so liberal minded and kind. That is what is expected of a Brahmana. So even though he knew this boy is going to kill me, he still did not hesitate to train him and share all the knowledge with him. And therefore, the Drishtadyumna also became a very expert archer and all that. So now he had very expertly arranged the army, and now Duryodhana is pointing that out to Dronacharya. Look, that same Drishtadyumna. Uh, So, by your intelligent disciple. So he's trying to. Um, uh, there's a little bit of sarcasm too. See that same boy who you have trained, how he has expertly now he's ready to defeat, take us on. So then now Duryodhana, he wants to um, get his people, you know, uh, he wants them to be encouraged, and at the same time he wants them to be also provoked uh, to the best of their abilities, so they can fight, and uh, they can take over the other army. So he starts mentioning to Dronacharya. So he's pointing out to Dronacharya, please don't take it for granted. Don't think the Pandava army is not good enough for us. They have so many heroic uh, fighters like, you know, mm, Yuyudhana, Virata, Drupada. Don't think just Bhima and Arjuna are of course, they are the most prominent, but all these fighters, they're also more or less equal to Bhima and Arjuna. So we have a lot of competition, is what he's trying to say. So he's just trying to um, warn them also that uh, don't think we don't have competition. We have a long way to go. Then he's also mentioning other fighters in the next shloka. Like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purjit, Kuntibhoja, Shaibhya. So in the battle of Kurukshetra, so many, many, many kings from all over India, not just India, all over the world, they had all come because Hastinapura back in the day was the center of the world, so to speak, because the main ruler of the world uh, would rule the whole world from there, and all the other kings were all subordinate to that main king from Hastinapura. So therefore, this was a big deal. It was actually, this was really the world war, what they speak of in these days, because in these days only few countries they may side with different nations, but here the entire world was involved. Either they had sided with the Kauravas or the Pandavas, because we get all this information from the Mahabharata, how different kings came from different parts of Europe and different other, even from so many other parts of the world. Then now he goes on to mention other powerful warriors, Yudhamanyu, Uttamauja, then there is son of Subhadra or Abhimanyu, and then there are sons of Draupadi. So he's saying they're all extremely strong and valiant fighters, and and then next he says, so this was a brief of he's trying to highlight who are the great warriors on their side. So that doesn't mean my side is lacking. Even my side, I have such great warriors. And who are they? We have Bhishma on our side, Karna, Kripa, that is Kripacharya, Ashwathama, Vikarna, then son of Somadatta, he's called as Bhurishrava. So these are the people that we have on our side. Even they're always victorious. Nobody has ever defeated them. So he's also trying to encourage them now. So this is the tactics of diplomacy. So Duryodhana is a very good politician. That's what Srila Prabhupada mentions, that um, he's trying to be very diplomatic. On one hand, he's trying to provoke them. Also, on the other hand, he's also trying to encourage. So this is the typical calculation of a politician, so to speak. And then and he also goes to say there are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. So he's saying, Anyeja Bahava Shura Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha Nana Shastra Prahanaha Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha. And in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada, another Acharya says, so he's almost already predicting himself now that these people are going to die, because he's saying there are so many other heroes. I'm just mentioning few names, but we have so many other heroes on our side. They are prepared to die for my sake. That means somewhere he already knows there's a great possibility of them uh, getting defeated and dying. So, and all of them are equipped with so many kinds of weapons, and they're all extremely expert and experienced in this military warfare. So, and now he does a comparison. He says, see, how when someone has to fight, they usually have to gauge what is the um, kind of strength they have to deal with, what how the people on the other side, what is their strength. So now Duryodhana is also mentioning that. So he's saying, um, अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीमाभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं bhimaభిरक्षितं. So first time he says, see, on our side we have Bhishma, and therefore our strength is immeasurable, because Bhishma, can anyone um, match Bhishma? It's almost like unlimited strength. So, but for Pandavas, their strongest person on their side is Bhima. Well, Bhima's strength is limited. That is the opinion of Duryodhana, and so he's thinking Bhima is nothing in front of Bhishma. So here in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada, another Acharya, say for Duryodhana, he was always very, very envious of Bhima, because uh, it's always the competition or friendship is always between equals, and we always compare ourselves with someone who we think are our peers, or so we are not bothered about people who are junior to us or senior to us, very senior to us. So therefore Duryodhana also, mm, because Duryodhana's contention was always Bhima, because in Gada Yuddha they were both expert and they were both trained by Balarama, and so therefore he always saw Bhima as his competitor, and he was extremely envious of Bhima, and therefore he tried to kill Bhima, you know, so many times, more than anyone else. Bhima was his opponent. He knew that, and therefore, and he knew that Bhima was the strongest, and therefore he's trying to compare on our side who's the strongest, and their side who's the strongest. Bhima is nothing compared to Bhishma. So, and then now he says, therefore, again he's trying to, on one hand, he tried to say, don't take it for granted, look at how they've expertly arranged, and he tries to balance it out by saying, no, even on our side we have such amazing soldiers or warriors, um, and he ends it by saying, our side is stronger because of Bhishma. By saying that, now he's again trying to be more diplomatic. So now, if he is glorifying Bhishma alone, other senior warriors like Dronacharya might think, oh, so he's only dependent on Bhishma. So we don't have a role here. So he doesn't care about us. So now he's trying to, uh, you know, uh, uh, diplomatically handle that also. So no, he's saying, yes, Bhishma is there, but still, you should all support him, because he's old, but so you should all support him. Then we will all be victorious. Uh, Therefore, you should all be extremely prepared at your own strategic points, respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Mm. That means, so such warfare skills are practically unknown in this today's world, but they had so many ways of arranging the warriors or soldiers. So that is known as phalanx, or we may have heard of chakra vyuha and this vyuha, that vyuha. That means there was a certain pattern or a design in which the soldiers were made to stand. Mm. So that the opposing army, when they come to fight with them, they are placed or arranged in such a manner that it was impossible to uh, you know defeat them and come through that arrangement of soldiers. So whoever tries to come, especially in the chakravyuha, that's what happened to Abhimanyu. So whoever enters into that arrangement, uh, he may be subdued by all others from different other directions, because Abhimanyu didn't know how to exit. He only knew how to enter. So these are all extremely mm, complex and extremely um, expert military arrangements that were all done previously. So then finally, now he's saying, um, he has finally tried to encourage everyone in a diplomatical fashion. And after this, Bhishma was listening to all this, and he could obviously sense the nervousness that was, uh, you know, obvious, nervousness inside Duryodhana. And therefore, just to encourage him, now Bhishma, um, he blew his conch shell very loudly. So blowing of conch shell is it has a lot of significance. One, we blow conch shell even during puja and festivals and all this. So one is, it drives away negative energies, and it creates a atmosphere of auspiciousness. That is one thing. And especially in the context of war, when a conch shell is blown, um, that indicates that, so they are indicating, yes, now we are ready for war. So it is usually done in the beginning of war. So because when both sides blow their conch shell, that means the war is going to start soon. So therefore, now to encourage him, now Bhishma blows his conch shell very loudly. It was almost like this. So here it says, Simhanadam vinadyochai shankam dadma pratapavan. It was almost like the roar of a lion. And this gave Duryodhana so much joy. So this was all the qualities of Kshatriyas, or the valiant fighters back in the day. So they were never afraid for war, because in fact they were waiting for war, because that was their nature. Kshatriya was his mental and his physical nature was such that they would enjoy fighting, even at the risk of their life. So they were not at all cowards. So they were, in fact, very, very brave. So then, so once the blowing of conch shell began, so then so many others blew their shankas, then their drums, their bugles, their trumpets, horns, all of this. So all this, it created tumultuous effect. It was resounding all over. So this was on the Kaurava side. Now, what is happening on the Pandava side? Now, after this, now that they have given the signal uh, of war by blowing conch shell, so even the Pandavas now, uh, they will also respond. Let's see what they do. So these 13 shlokas, so they are obviously giving us a scene of what was going on, especially on Kaurava's side, and how the war preparations had been made. so to speak, on both sides. Now, from shloka 14 to 20, uh, it gives us a picture of what were the signs of victory. So there were already some signs one could tell just by seeing. There were so many signs of victory on the Pandava side, even before the war began. So, and that is the description given here. Um, so, in fact, there is a whole science actually in the Vedic knowledge. There is a branch of Vedic knowledge called as the Nimitta Shastra. So it's very interesting how uh, previously people could actually, just from the nature, they could see uh, things and they could read. They were all different omens and signs, and they could actually predict future. Uh, at least some of the major events, if something bad is gonna happen, then uh, you know they say you're for a woman, if the right eye is twitching, then it's not a good sign. But for a man, if right eye is twitching, that's a good sign. So, but for a woman, if her right hand or right eye is twitching, then that means okay, she can expect something good to happen. So on. There are many things like this. So these are the different signs. So in this way, here also there were many signs of victory on the Pandava army. So let's see what are they. Starting from shloka 14, it says Krishna and Arjuna. First of all, um, they were on an excellent chariot. This was no ordinary chariot. This was a great chariot given by Agni Deva himself. Agni Deva is the um, god or the devata in charge for fire. So he controls all the fire elements in the whole universe. And so this is not mythology. Some people think, oh, how can there be god for fire or sun and all this? But as we have discussed previously in the introduction also, nothing in our own experience, there is no machinery or there is no system or an arrangement that can function on its own. Everything needs some kind of a creative or a designer. Someone would have designed it, then someone would have manufactured it, and then finally someone will operate it. So therefore, even in this uh, larger, a grander scale of this universe, also there are so many systems and machineries or arrangements in place for the entire universe to go on. So therefore, each of these planets also they have, or even the different elements like air, water, nothing will just move on its own. There has to be some person who is either at least pressing some button or they are making something move. So similarly, the fire god, fire devata, Agni Deva. So he's the one who controls fire element, and he had given a chariot, wonderful chariot to Krishna and Arjuna. And now, most importantly, this chariot, although Arjuna uh, it was the one who was sitting on the chariot, but it was being driven by none other than Lord Sri Krishna. So, Lord Krishna, mm, we will see later how he had taken the role of a chariot driver just for Arjuna's sake. Um, so that shows how compassionate he was. He's known as Bhakta Vatsala. Just for the sake of his devotee, he can even take up such a menial job as that of a charioteer, which we will see in the later verses, which will become more obvious. And now here, so these were the different signs. So one, um, the chariot itself was is one extraordinary chariot driven by white horses, and then stationed on this chariot Krishna and Arjuna, they both started blowing their own conchs or shankhas. Now, it's interesting to note that previously Bhishma also blew his conchal shankha. But here, when Krishna Arjuna they blow their shankhas, here the word divya is used. Divya shankha pradadmatuhu. So that means they blew their spiritual, transcendental shankhas. Because Krishna, this is the Supreme Lord who is all spiritual. There's nothing material about him. So his whole form, his body is made of Sat Chit Ananda, completely spiritual, and whatever is related to him, like the Shankha, it could be the chariot, everything that is related to him is also automatically on the same platform. That is also that is also spiritual. Therefore, Krishna cannot blow an ordinary conch shell. So whatever Krishna blows, that Shankha is also supremely spiritual. And because Arjuna is also connected with him, and Arjuna's Shankha is also spiritual. That is why here both their conchs are referred as spiritual conchs. And then um, Krishna's conchal Shankha is known as Panchajanya, and Arjuna's Shankha is known as Devadatta. So each of their conchals had their own names actually. So so when the Lord he has his paraphernalia, they're all in fact the Lord's devotees who take that seva. So conchal, Lord's conchal is also um, his own energy or a devotee who comes to serve him. So then Bhima, um, he also blew his conchal, which is known as Poundra. So Bhima is known as Vrukodara, means it can also mean, it means one who's a voracious eater, and Bhima Karma, and also one who performs amazing tasks, Herculean tasks. Then next, there's a list of the Shankhas of um, other members of Pandavas, um, like Yudhishthira's Shankha is known as Ananta Vijaya, Nakula Sahadeva. They blew their conchal, Subhosha, Manipushpaka, and then Kashi Raja, um, then Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, Satyaki, uh, sons of Draupadi, then Drupada, all these great people, including Abhimanyu, they all blew their respective Shankhas. And so when they blew all these their shankhas, the total effect was uproarious. It was reverberating throughout, all over, both in on earth and in the sky. And it also says here that um, Saghosho dhartarashranam hridayani vyadarayat. So see, when Bhishma and others on the Kaurava side, when they blew their Shankha, um, that really nothing happened to Pandavas. There was no such effect. But here, when Pandavas and Lord Krishna blew their Shankhas, something happened to the sons of Dhritarashtra. Here it says it shattered their hearts. It shattered the hearts of Dhritarashtra. So that is why, because they they were surely intimidated by the confidence and the strength and the obvious demeanor with which all the Pandavas had assembled there. And therefore, just by hearing the conchal, their hearts were shattered, and that means their confidence was broken, and um, something told them. It was obvious that, they were on the losing side. So these are all the signs of victory. And we should also note that in the next shloka we see that atha vyavasthitan drishtva dhartarashram kapidhvajaha. So there was kapidhvaja, that means Arjuna's chariot also had Hanuman sitting on the flag. So that flag was had Hanuman, because Hanuman was also that was also a great sign of victory, because wherever there was Hanuman, mm, he would bring victory to uh, Lord Rama. The way he had fought, and nobody he was invincible. So similarly, he had come to serve the same Lord here, who had come in the form of uh, Krishna. So not just that, it is said that this whenever there was a fighting going on, Hanuman would personally, who he was sitting on the flag, he would actually personally roar, and with such intensity that it would create shivers in the hearts of the enemy, and their uh, strength would be diminished. Uh, so therefore, this way also, Hanuman greatly served Lord and Arjuna. So in many ways, so there were all the signs of victory for all the Pandavas, and therefore, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra and how the way they have arranged their military array, um, now Arjuna started speaking to Krishna. So we will see that in the next session. So so far we have covered what were the preparations of the war and signs of victory. We will continue in our next section. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.